recording the Zoom
Hello,
meeting.
everyone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. So I've got Dominic Crapuchettes from the owner of North Star Games and one of the designers of Nature, which is one of our new favorite games. And he has kindly agreed to sit and talk about games with us for a while, which, as you know, is one of our favorite things.
Well, my favorite too. So this is perfect.
Awesome. Yeah, so glad to have you. Again, thanks for making the time. We super appreciate it. So I wanted to talk a little bit about you to start with, just because I think your story is so cool. So I know I was reading something about you getting a game actually banned in eighth grade.
That's so true. Yep.
So obviously your interest in gaming and game design started very young. Can you tell me a little bit about like what really got you into games?
I would say my dad. Um, our family just didn't watch much television, so
Hmm.
we played board games 3 times a week. And so I remember my dad taught me chess when I was 4. I kind of know why, but he wanted to put me into tournaments and like he wanted like a little child prodigy. And that was one of the things that he did. And so that was fun, but what was more fun was just all the games we played. We played charades and hearts and spades and sorry and operation, and then graduated to Risk and Monopoly,
Oh yeah.
and then we actually one of our family staples was a choir. I don't know if you've played a choir.
Oh yes. We know Acquire very well. Super
So
underrated older game.
it's just great game, yeah. So all through the '80s, we played that. We played Diplomacy a couple times. We played Advanced Civilization, and then I played Dungeons and Dragons. And so like there was just we were just a gaming family for back then.
Yeah, that's incredible. So it's funny because I'm of an age, and you are too, where all of my friends have kids and they ask us about games and everything. And one of my friends, her son, was asking me, "Why did you play Risk? That game is terrible." I'm like, "That's all we had, man. Like
It was
that's all we
great.
had."
And I don't want to say it was terrible. All those games were like there was competition back then.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And Risk made it to the top of that, and so did Scrabble and so did Clue, and
Hmm.
for good reasons. And Monopoly, we just know how to make those games better now.
Yeah, and that's what like it's game it's not fair, just like any forms of media. I always think like to judge those games based on the lens of modern design, just because it's what we built on, right? It's like Tolkien for me. It's like that's what modern fantasy was built on. So of course people are going to do things that he didn't do. But
Yeah.
but back to that. So real early for you. Tell me a little bit about the game that got banned. I'd just love to hear more about that.
Okay. Um, so the way it started is we used to play this pencil game where we would draw tanks on a sheet of
Mhm.
paper, and then you'd take a pencil and you'd do this. Do you know this game?
No, I don't.
I wish I could. So here, I could do it like this. So then you have a tank, and then you
Hmm.
go, "I'm moving," and you go, "Boonk," and then you see how far that went, and you're like, "Okay, I moved there," and then you fire. And because I was a board gamer, I was like, "Well, we could make this better. Let's turn this into a real game." So I created a game, and um, tanks. So you like built your army at the start. Tanks
Hmm.
cost whatever. Men cost whatever. There were helicopters, and so it was a war game. Um, you built your side on a half a piece of graph paper, and your opponent, I mean, in this case, my friends
Yeah.
were building their side, and then we'd tape them together, and then we'd play. And so he would take the game during one part, period one, and he'd make his moves, and then he'd hand it back to me, and then I'd make my moves, and we would just do that. And so about 30 people started doing it consistently in class when they finally banned it. Um, the game was a little bit, I'd say, based on Stratego, when like on the setup, where everyone would
Hmm.
kind of like secretly do their setup and try to outthink the other person. And then it kind of had an innovative for the '80s um, um, action point system, which really got introduced into
Ooh.
the real world. I think with Tikal, maybe I think that was maybe '97. Uh, my action points were, I'd say, more rudimentary than Tikal.
Hmm.
Really, you just had four moves every turn, and a move was either move one of your units or fire. And so you could go move, fire, move back, or you could go I'm moving 3 times in and
Oh
kamikaze.
yeah.
And so there was just a lot of options, and it just led to a fun game.
Very cool. I mean, it took role-playing companies like until just a few years ago with Pathfinder for that level of action economy and role in RPGs. So way ahead of
Interesting.
its time.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, see, when you get into high school, another thing I read was your final paper for one of your courses was your business plan
It's true.
for your gaming company.
Yeah.
So you got clearly maintained the interest. And at that point in your life, like what was your real plan for you? What did you think you wanted to do in the gaming industry, like having your own company and doing your own designs?
So I was not career minded at all.
Mhm.
Um, I this was just what I wanted to do. So there was no real plan. In fact, like you said, this was for my economics paper,
Yeah.
and I look at it now and I'm like, wait, why did I write a business plan for economics? But to me, they were the
Mhm.
same back then. Um, I had designed a role playing game, a system, because I didn't like Dungeons and Dragons, like it wasn't working for me, and so
Yeah.
I was a DM for like a couple of years, and created what is now kind of called the D20 system. I didn't like all the charts and looking it up. I didn't like all the like, let's stop and figure this out. I was like, well, let's just tell me the story. Like, let's just make it bare bones so that we can have this good story going on. And so that was one of the things I wanted to publish. And then I had a bunch of games, including that one game that we talked about. And and to me, like games included role playing. It just included everything. It really made no business sense at all. This was just what I wanted to do.
Yeah. Fantastic. I mean, if only more of us just kind of focused on that, that would be awesome. So you spent some time on a fishing boat.
Yeah.
Um, and then I just this is the part of your story I thought was so incredible
How do you know all this
was
stuff? Where are you finding all this stuff?
oh I Googled the crap out of you. I got more too.
Ah,
So I
oh
tried to
shit!
be like really
Dude, tell me who my
prepared.
girlfriend was in seventh grade. Just
Oh
kidding.
man, that I don't know. No.
I'm kidding. I didn't have a girlfriend in seventh grade. I wasn't that cool.
Yeah, well, you know what's incredible to me as a quick aside was that like when I was younger and sounds like when you were younger, like board gaming was something we did in the shadows.
Yeah.
Now it's like kids are doing it in full view in high school, like, and it's cool. It's just I was born like what 10 years too early, or in the 80s I should have been a Zoomer. Like that's how it should have gone. Um,
Honestly, one of my goals for starting this company was let's turn this art form, this form of entertainment,
mhm.
into something that's socially acceptable. That was one of the,
Yes.
because I went to boarding school and I played sports and I played games, and sports I was cool and I got a lot of street cred for, but games I didn't, and like people didn't want to play with me and they didn't know what to do with it. And it was like, I don't get it. I can watch movies with you, I can do this, we can do this, we can talk about music. We can't do board games, and I just don't get why. And then I wanted to help change that once I saw what was taking place in Germany and this like renaissance of board gaming due to the Spiel des Jahres. I was like, I want to be a part of this and I want to
Mhm.
bring this movement to the US. So that was really one of the driving forces to me wanting to start, like when I finally actually did start the company.
Yeah, yeah, amazing. And so you thought when you were out, like when, so that night, when you are, and just for everyone who doesn't know the story, real quick, um, so you were on the boat, all your electronics cut out, and you've got to
Yeah.
use celestial navigation to to get the boat home.
Well,
Um,
that part, when should I reveal like
oh, go for it.
between truth and like marketing?
Oh yeah, go for it. Go for it. Anytime you
Well,
want.
you just crossed the line. So the
Okay.
story is 100% true, except um, guiding by the North Star. That was a
Okay.
tie-in. That was a tie-in to the company name, and the company name was a tie-in to my time in Alaska. But I had to just search for URLs. Does this exist? Does this exist?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, North Star Games, perfect. So that was my, after searching for 200 options, that was one of them that I chose. Um, it was raining, so I couldn't see the stars, and
Okay.
I could see all of the boat lights. So I knew where I was in relation to like where I'd want to be, how to go towards land.
But hey, in American corporate, like we don't always say the North Star is the North Star. Like it's something that guides you, right?
That was part of it. Yeah, that
Yeah,
was
which
part
is
of it.
still something pretty cool. But really, what I wanted to ask about, cutting through the marketing, I guess, is
Okay.
that so when you had that kind of moment, right? Like there's a chance I don't get back home, and I really want to do this thing if I get a chance to. Tell me about what that moment is like, because so few of us really get something like that.
So there were more than one moment. So that story that I wrote was the first time that it happened, but it happened several times. And another time was worse. We were in huge waves. They'd been predicting a major storm for 3 days, and it just hadn't come. And there was fish, so we were fishing, and people were staying in the harbor, and we're like, we're catching all this fish, earning all this money. And finally, people kind of just started coming out the day when the storm actually did hit. We had 32-foot long boats, and the waves were 20, 25 feet high, which means about 2 boat lengths up.
Oh, wow.
And so you're just going up, and then you hit the white water, and your whole boat gets hit, and you're scared you're going to spin, and then you can't see anything because you're way down in these waves. And then all of a sudden, at some point, you and another boat are at the top of a wave, and you're like, oh my God, there's a boat right there. Holy shit. I've got to be careful. And so that was actually the time when I was most scared. And I got to the point where I just had one crew member on boat. It was at the end of the year. And so we were like doing the last week or two of grind. And I got to the point where I said, if I don't live and you do, this is what I want you to tell my dad. And this is what I want you to tell my girlfriend. So that one got very sobering. That was,
oh yeah. I can imagine.
Yeah. I don't know how to say what it's like. It was just me going, wow, this is, there's a really good chance that this is where it ends for me, and it was terrifying, but that lasted for, 2 hours, 2.5 hours. We had to maybe 4 hours. Cause normally it's about an hour and a half, 2 hour run, but we couldn't go that fast. And then finally, so many good stories. We're not going to talk about game design at all. If you get me into Alaska, one of the guys that I fished with is a demolition expert, and he blows things up, and he would hide stuff from the government, explosives and det cord and stuff. So whenever he had a job, you keep track of all the stuff. The government's keeping track of it. And he'd like work for Hollywood, blowing things up. He'd blow up buildings and stuff, and he would save little bits and pieces, and then he would ship it up to Alaska for the 4th of July so that we'd have these big, huge explosions. Man. Anyways, he is on the flying bridge. So he's outside in these 25-foot waves, clipped with his orange survival gear on, clipped to the railing. And he's just going like full speed. You can't even see him. And then and I was like, trying to get in radio contact with someone so I could be in visual contact with someone in our group. And so I was like, I have to keep up with him. And so, so then I was following him in, and then there were like 30 boats that didn't want to put their butts to the wave to get into the harbor because the waves are coming into the harbor. And there were helicopters circling. Boats had lost their windshields. People were being rescued. There was like Coast Guard was out, and he just turned in and was just going for it. And so I'm like, I guess we're going for it. And a wave just picked me up, and I couldn't get off of it. And so I'm like spinning my steering wheel as fast as I can. The boat is just like sliding, and I'm scared it's just going to slide over and roll. And I surfed like, I don't know, 200 yards. Like I was behind him by like 100 yards. And then I was like in front of him by 200 yards. And he was just like, woo, that was awesome. Yeah, go Alexis. And I was like, yeah.
We all know that person, right? Like at least one. I feel like we all know at least one of those people, guy or gal. Yeah. That's amazing. I mean, that was probably like an incredible time just being on the water and seeing all those things too. But
yeah, a whole bunch of crazy stories.
Oh man. So when you get back after having these experiences and you're like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. This is my calling. How did you get started?
So I decided I'd go to business school, and I decided, well, I'm just going to do what I really love. I'm going to start a board game company, and I'm going to see what happens. I don't know anything about business. So let me go to business school. I'll learn everything I can. Went to like an entrepreneurial business school, got a scholarship, an entrepreneurial scholarship based on my business plan. And my goal was to find a business partner because I knew that I didn't really want to do this all by myself. Like I wanted to have someone to do it with. And I figured if it all fell apart and didn't work, well, I'd have an MBA and I'd try to figure out what to do with my life.
Yeah.
So that was kind of my plan.
Yeah. Very cool. And so was I saw your credits, and I saw one of this is actually something I didn't know before I looked it up, was that Wits and Wagers is in your credits. Was that one of your earliest designs that you published, or the first one?
Second, yeah.
Okay. What was the first? That I
The
couldn't see.
first one is called Cluzzle. Have you heard of
Okay.
Dixit?
Oh yeah.
It's basically before Dixit, but it's basically Dixit with clay, where
Oh,
you
okay.
want, or actually, I'd say it's a little bit different. It might be a mashup of like Dixit with 20 questions. So you would create something out of clay. So Dixit, you have the card ahead of time, and it's kind of
Mm-hmm.
like hard to know. You know, it's like hard to know. You're trying to make a clue that's not too hard and not too easy. And so,
Yeah.
and that's what you were trying to do with Cluzzle. You were trying to make a clay puzzle that was not too easy to guess and not too hard to guess, because that's right in the middle of where it's interesting. When you know what it is, it's not interesting. And when you can't figure out what it is, it's not interesting. But when you're like, I think I can figure it out. And then it was a game of 20 questions. And if your item was guessed in the first round, you and the guesser would get 1 point. Second round, 2 points, 3 points, 4 points, 5 points. And if it's not guessed by the fifth round, you'd get 0. So you wanted it to be just complicated enough to get guessed in the fifth round.
Oh, nice. Yeah, we love Dixit, love Mysterium, so
Yeah,
that's an
so
excellent.
it's in that vein. Really fun game, but the clay kind of hardened. It had a lot of issues.
Seems like it'd be a tough medium to work with. So, having done things like mass appeal type games, like something like a Wits and Wagers, and something like Evolution and like Nature, that are more hobbyist board games, what are the big differences in designing in both of those spaces for you?
Well, so I have the same design ethos, which is fewest number of rules, because the rules to me are barriers to getting people involved,
Hmm.
with the greatest amount of replay value. Hobby gamers have a greater appetite for rules. They've just learned a lot of games, and like that's just something they enjoy. When if you go to the mass market with like a party game, the appetite for rules is minimal.
Right.
They're drinking, they're flirting, they just want to hear a game, and they want it to like help the social activity. So like I would say the experience you're trying to provide is different. The time when it comes out and gets played is different, and so you're trying to meet like meet the needs of like that particular time, like a party being very different from a group of people getting together and saying we're going to play games for an hour or
Hmm.
two. um, Hobby allows you to create stories, create a theme there. It's really, you don't have enough time to create, like you need more rules to be able to create any type of story. So like Nature has a story of like animals adapting to the changing environment, and food is limited, and sometimes they turn into hunters. And so there's like a story that takes place. And that type of thing you can only do in a hobby. And I enjoy that, but I also enjoy party games. But hobby gives me a little more flexibility to explore some of the other things that I enjoy.
Now you talked you talked a little bit about theming there, which is super important for us. Like we love like well themed games. So for you, when you're designing, do you kind of like take your theme and then work backwards into the game, or do you kind of have mechanics in mind and then look for the right theme that fit those mechanics?
I mean, I'd say every game is different, but
Hmm.
classically for me, um, so the way I design Nature is theme first, and I go, what would be an exciting ecosystem? And then I do like, you know 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 hours of research just learning about the ecosystems. And then I figure out like what different elements can I model, uh, starting with what is iconic to other people. Because if you
Hmm.
start modeling things that they don't understand, the theme doesn't come to life. So you want to, so like if we're doing the rainforest, people think of poison dart frogs, they think of parrots, they think of jaguars, they think of monkeys, they think of fruits in the canopy. And so you're like, those are the elements that most of the key touchstones that you need to use as key touchstones. And then you can stretch a little bit and teach them about this or that, as long as they've got like enough anchor points that the theme makes sense to them.
Hmm. Yeah, and I personally, like with Nature, I love the way that the mechanics are super thematic, we use the word elegant a ton on our channel, like just kind of to mean like when you're at a spot where like the mechanics of the board game are evocative of your theme, right? Like my species is dying off in one area and kind of, I don't want to say resurrecting because it's not really resurrecting, but they're kind of like evolving into something different, even though this population is dead. It tells that story so effectively, and it's so much better than some games where like it's just okay, this is a robot, it dies because robots die when you shoot it or something like. But it's very fulfilling when that story gets told through mechanics. I think it's hard. It seems like it would be very hard to do.
It is. It takes a lot of time. Yeah. You can find a lot of mechanics that are fun and interesting,
Mm-hmm.
and you can hook people that are more logical and enjoy like mechanics,
Yeah.
but you can't hook the greater part of the population, which would be more interested in the story.
Yeah.
So figuring out, well, how can I do both, just means you're throwing out a lot of ideas, like it works here but not here, and even when you arrive at something which I think is really well crafted, and I put my whole heart into it for a decade, there's still places in nature where it falls apart, and it's like I can't figure out how to make this really work, so it just kind of doesn't thematically. So like, for instance, when you're bigger, you eat more food. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But if you were an elephant, it would take more food to feed a population too.
Right.
And so what a lot of people want to do is they go, oh, I'm going to take 4 food because I'm size 4, and I'm going to stack it all on one population. And that just breaks the mechanics of the game, because if you could get 4 points and only need one population, well, then everyone would just go to size 4 immediately.
Oh yeah.
And so to really like try to model why that's not the case in nature was complicated, and it was like it. And then there's such a barrier to getting people to playing the game that no one's going to play the game. So it's like at some point you have to go, this simulation. There's no simulation that's gonna actually describe an infinite world. It's going to describe some finite understanding of like the world, which just keeps going on forever and ever. And you do your best to use the fewest rules possible to describe the most that you can.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned that specific example because that's something that we struggled with at the beginning. Like one of our first playthrough, so we did our second playthrough on camera, but our first playthrough we tried to do exactly that. 'Cause like, wait a second,
Yeah.
they need more food because they're bigger, right? It just
Right.
seemed to make sense, so we had to go back and forth a little bit, but there was just one person overthinking it, and it made sense once we reread again. So,
I mean, honestly, if I could have another decade, I might be able to solve it.
mm-hmm.
I spent a year with it being one of the many issues I'm trying to solve, and at some point I was like, I'm just going to let go of that issue, because it works with this.
Oh
if you
yeah.
just ignore that one thing.
Yeah. Now talking about nature specifically, it seems like just from what I'm seeing and like my local game store and everything had a couple copies, it seems like the game is doing really well. So how is it kind of aligned with your expectations when you were going through the design process and distribution?
Well, expectations is a strong word. Maybe hopes and
Oh, okay.
dreams.
Yeah.
So I in so a little bit about finance because you have
Mm-hmm.
an MBA too. I was very stupid with all my money. So I took all of my retirement money, and I should have just bought a house. This is after I had struggled with a relationship and so I got divorced, and I had a fairly large, North Star Games had grown into a pretty large company, and it all
Mm-hmm.
crumbled. And I had about $750,000 stashed away in stock for retirement. And I put 100% of that money into this company for this dream, because it was either just give up the dream and get a job, or continue. So I don't think I want to say I had expectations of it doing well. I think I'd rather say I knew it had the chance to do well.
Mm-hmm.
Because Evolution, in all of its different incarnations, so Evolution Oceans, Evolution the Beginning, has sold 400 and something thousand copies, so which is a lot. So, and then I knew that nature is just way better. Like I got that core super tight and replayable and easy to teach by comparison. And then I created the whole architecture so that this modular system just works and you can mix and match these modules. So the way that I kind of view it there is if you want to have a long-term brand and hobby, so something that lasts 10, 20, 30 years, you need more people becoming fans every year than are leaving your community, your fandom, your community of fans. And so you need to have a way for people to make it easy to get people into your world and into playing. And then you need to give them reasons to stay and bring the game back out to the table. And so I felt like it had everything that it would need to become like a long-term brand. And the theme, nature, is very accessible to everyone. It's accessible to moms and families and parents. And it's not unaccessible to hobby gamers. So like it just felt like it had very broad reach. And then of course, nature happens to be hot right now. That's the name that I wanted to give Evolution. So I've had that name in my sketchbook for 10 years. It just so, and people are like, oh, now someone's just calling the game nature. It's like, oh God. Well, this game was going to come out when it was ready, regardless of what the market was doing. But anyways, so I just basically took a really big bet, and I don't need to financially make that money back. What I need is a cash flow positive company so that I can keep pursuing like my passion, which is creating these games.
Amazing. I mean, even that's a cool, like, I don't know, betting on yourself if you've got a strong vision, a strong product, seems to hopefully work out more times than not. So we're rooting for you because I need the rest of my modules for nature too. So I definitely need this this train to keep going.
It does look like it's doing well. So like
yeah.
I'm feeling optimistic, but it's still tight, especially with like the tariffs right now. So we pushed off the release by another year. We were going to release it in 24. And I knew it was going to be really tight on the cash, but then the tariffs are an extra $80,000. Like I lost $80,000 this year, and it's putting the survival of our company in jeopardy for sure. Like that 80,000 could be the margin of error. But anyways, there's a lot of momentum, and it's doing well all over the place. So like I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, that's spectacular to hear. And so I guess let me ask you a little bit about that. So we talked about that a little bit in our roundup of Gen Con, in that it seemed like when we went this year, there were fewer small companies there. Like you're always going to have AEG, and you're always going to have like Paizo and the big boys are all going to be there, but fewer smaller ones this year. Can you tell me a little bit about how policy has affected some of your decision making over the past year or so as a smaller gaming company?
Do you mean tariffs, or tell me what you mean by
Yeah, pretty much tariffs.
well,
Also, like maybe the trade policy around the tariffs too, like, but mainly tariffs.
I mean, so I had to let go of someone, and I might have to let go of someone else. I don't know. Like we're right at that touch and go.
Yeah.
So I basically run out of money, and sales are picking up. So it's like it's really hard to as the cash flow goes up and down, based upon orders and then sales. It's really hard to know whether I'll have to let go of someone else. I'm hoping not. Obviously, it's really stressful. I mean, it's got to be stressful for everyone. We don't know what the tariffs even are. Like they're just getting changed, and we don't know what they're going to end up at. And so it's hard to change at some point we'll have to all change the prices, and no one really wants to be the first person. So when a big boy does it, I'm sure a lot of us are all going to follow because we have to. But we just don't know when. We don't know what that price should be. We don't want to go and change the price and then 3 months later go, oh shit, we have to change it again because we didn't know where it was going to be. So the uncertainty is always bad for business. Business wants to invest when there's more certainty. And that's just how economics works, as you probably learned in your economics class.
Yep. The market loves certainty. Like, so times of uncertainty we're down, times of certainty we're up. And then we fluctuate in times of big swings and fluctuations. So we're really hoping we can pull through this because there's a lot of game companies. Like I know that CMON is probably like the biggest example right now of a company that is really in dire straits. It looks like
Yeah.
from changes in tariff and trade policy.
Well,
Uh,
probably. I mean, I think they've had systemic issues for longer than that. Well, of
yeah,
course, anyone that has any sort of systemic issues, this is bringing the
yeah, right.
crisis to the forefront. Um, and I'd say we're one of them. You know, we're one of those people because I was just supporting the company for the last 3 years. We were losing money, and I was just betting on we'll turn the corner when nature comes out.
Yeah,
But yeah, I think Simon, pioneered this kind of Kickstarter model,
right.
and then a bunch of other people jumped in, and a bunch of people got apprehensive of these big dreams that get sold. Just kind of apprehensive of the FOMO model, which really
Yeah,
I'd say Simon just like figured out how to really get people
yeah.
afraid and like prey on them, and a lot of people
Man,
just
I
got
should.
sick of it.
Yeah, I should turn my computer a little bit so you can see my Zombicide stack. Uh, yeah, we all miniatures are great. You know,
Yeah.
but it's I think part of
I
it
mean,
too
I
is.
see your Cthulhu. That thing is
Oh yeah,
huge.
yeah. I collect Cthulhu games, so like when that first came out and there's the giant Cthulhu statue and it's like the best Lovecraft miniatures we've ever seen in a
Yeah,
game.
it's
I'm like,
crazy. Yeah.
"All right, you got me. Sure, done. Here's my money. Take it." But I don't know if you've ever played it, but we do love Death May Die as a what are we calling them these days? Ameritrash, Amerithrash, Dice Chucker, like all of them. Like it's my favorite one, like Dungeon Crawler right now, so it works out.
I play tested it once at the gathering with Eric Lang, but
Oh, nice.
that was it.
Oh man, I actually have I have a thing about that, but I'll get to that in turn. Hopefully you're good on time.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, I'm
Cool.
good.
Yeah, just let
I
me know
fed
when
my
you're running up on.
dogs. No, we're good. I have nothing.
Cool. All right, and I will truck right along. Um, so shifting away from like difficulties with current tariff and trade policy, I want to talk about a couple of other kind of disruptive forces in the gaming industry that somebody talked about in 2011 at a TEDx talk. Oh, yes, I think it was you. Um, so
So
there are
good.
I did, you know what? I watch a lot of Hot Ones and I'm like, this guy knows everything about who he's talking to. I should try that. I should try that model. Um, so there are two things that you talked about back in 2011 that I'm curious about your perspective on them now. The first is the migration of board gaming and wargaming and RPGs from a tabletop to more of a digital medium. So, how have you found with another decade plus that that particular disruptive force is influencing the hobby?
I would say I thought we were closer to that transformation. Still there's 100% chance that's the direction we're going for
Hmm.
all the same reasons. Like, if you could provide a better service for cheaper,
Yeah,
it's just gonna take over. Right now, that we don't have platforms that simulate textures and picking up things. It's still not being replicated, that experience of face to face.
yeah,
Like, well, I was saying it was still going to be face to face, but we'd find ways to do it digitally, uh, and simulate like that feeling of like the tactileness that we have.
yes,
Um, it just hasn't happened. I mean, there isn't a platform. That's one. Um, a lot of platforms have tried, but
hmm
like there would need to be a platform that's ubiquitous that everyone can get these games on, because that's when the economies of scale really bring the pricing down.
yeah,
Is you buy this platform and you're like, oh my god, I can roll out a mat. I don't know what it's going to be, but I can roll out this mat and I've got all my games on it.
yeah,
And but there's still a tactileness, and I think there's also right now just kind of like this fad
hmm
of board gaming, and like see how you're displaying it in your bookshelves.
yeah,
Like, people are displaying them just like they used to display books. Like, there's a whole culture around it, and I don't think that culture is going anywhere. So
right,
I think I kind of misjudged like how culture would bash up against finances.
Mm-hmm.
And like culture's just going to win at that point. Like people just are a part of something and it's fun to be a part of it. And the holding is cool and the picking up and looking, like all that stuff is really cool. So I still believe in the long run, like the premise that I gave was as the experience digitally rivals the experience physically, there'll be a transformation. And I just don't think that we're rivaling anything right now.
Yeah. So we've talked about this quite a bit, like amongst ourselves, my kind of extended gaming group. We kind of think the AR might be where the future is to
Maybe, yeah.
provide some of like that tactile experience. Maybe that's the way forward, but
it's
lot
it's if
lot
it's
of
not
stuff.
simulating, like right now an e-reader does kind of simulate a book.
Yeah.
Like it is a very very similar experience. It wasn't when it was emitting light, it was kind of different, but
Mm-hmm.
when they have the one that needs natural light, it's like it's gotten really close. And as they get it really really close, soon you're just like, well, why would I spend 10 times the money for something that's the same but cheaper? We're just not there. And like, when will we get there? Probably not. I mean, based on what I've seen over the last 15 years, it doesn't seem like we're really close. Like just the ability to just like pick up things and like all the cool tactileness
Mm-hmm.
of games just seems like it's going to be hard to, like, it's not going to be replicated anytime in the near future.
Yeah. Even like because over COVID we tried to do some digital gaming like on Board Game Arena or on uh, Tabletop Simulator or Roll20, and it's just not the same
Uh,
as, especially doing like role playing games. It's not the same as everyone being in the room together, even when you've got cameras on and everything. It's just not there.
yeah, where the thing that I see that could transform more quickly is, so especially in hobby, this makes me laugh. It shouldn't. There are games that take 45 minutes to set up.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, can I swear on this podcast?
Yes.
I'm like, what the fuck? That makes no sense to me. Like, I don't have time to set up for 45 minutes before I play a game. So that sort of stuff could be outsourced to digital components,
Mm-hmm.
where like, because that to me, that was part of one of the appealing, like that is one of the appealing things of me playing digitally, is just like play. And I just
Yeah.
start playing and I'm like, clean up, gone. And oh, let's do 3 players. Oh, let's do this. Oh, let me change this. It's so easy to set up and clean up. So maybe there'll be ways where that part gets offloaded kind of digitally.
Yeah.
Because some of the setup times I think are insane, and I don't
Oh
know.
yeah.
I don't know how people have the appetite, but they do, because there's a lot of the most popular games have huge setup times.
Yeah. Well, we've kind of started seeing that already with some of like the app-driven games. Like I remember first edition Mansions of Madness was the biggest problem with it was exactly what you're describing. It takes forever to set up. But second edition, they have the app. You press a button, the app's like, okay, pull this stuff out, and you're done. It's an awesome experience. Like so, I think we're there,
Yeah,
and more games are starting to adopt it. But it's just I think you're right. It's the culture of the whole experience of being around a table gaming with each other is just slowing down the overall
yeah,
transition to a totally digital platform.
yeah. And there's a reticence to the digital side. Like people say, like, well, the operating system's going to change. If I buy a cardboard box, it's there forever. I have it. It's
Hmm.
mine. You can't just take it from me. And I understand that people reach into my pocket and change my phone all the time, and
Yeah,
Apple just goes, "Oh, we're changing your phone." I'm like, "Why do you have the right to change my phone?" And they're like, "Oh, because you don't own the software. You own the hardware."
yeah,
And I'm like, "Well, I feel like I own it. I buy stuff on it." Well, I guess I don't.
yeah. And again, that's something that's hitting home with video gaming right now, is all the different DRM and EULA agreements. And yeah, we've been kind of wondering if at one point board gaming goes that way. Like if does one day does Asmodee just buy everything and become Blizzard or become some kind of clearinghouse for a bunch of old studios, but we haven't quite gotten there yet. So the other disruptive force, I think that it's a little easier to see how it's really impacted the hobby over the last decade or so is and I'm going to pull up an example right here, is this guy right here, and that is our designers being the focus of the game rather than the company.
Nice.
So in fact, because after I watched that, I ran down and looked at your box. I'm like, wait a second, I don't remember his name being prominently on the box, but then I
Oh,
went and
oh,
found
this
it.
is after my TEDx talk.
Yeah, yeah, I went
Oh
and
yeah.
found it. And like, oh yeah, it's there, it's there.
Oh
So,
yeah.
um, so yeah,
I love CMYK, but I really dislike that they don't put the
mhm.
designer's name on some of those boxes. That really does bother me. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's and especially like some of the bigger companies, like it's hard to find it, but it's always the hobby, the smaller hobby games that it's easy to see. Like even just behind me, I can see a couple of them. So for you, like where have you seen that kind of entrepreneurial change in the board gaming industry as more and more small studios emerge just making games?
Say that one more time. Like, how have I seen the impact of designer names?
Yeah, of gaming being driven by designers instead of by companies.
Well, so I still believe very strongly about like what I was saying in TEDx, which is um if the name of the artist
Hmm.
is not revealed to the public. And so the credit is Random House Publishing wrote this book called Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Um, they don't have to pay that much money because they can just change the, you don't know who the writer is and they can just
Hmm.
change it. They're like, oh, you're fired, next one. So it really keeps the power in the corporation and not with the artist. And the artist can't go, I mean, they can't even necessarily prove that they wrote the next book. They can go
Right.
to the next. So, like, it really takes away all of their power. And when you take away all of their power, you take away all of their passion too,
Hmm.
because they're not going to get paid very well. And so they're like, I clock in and I clock out. Like, there's no way to get more than that from them. And the level that we have right now of passion in the industry is way higher than that.
Hmm.
And it's because someone like Elizabeth Hargrave can sell 2 million copies and earn I don't know what it is, $1.25, $1.50 per copy.
Hmm.
So like that's life changing. Klaus Tuber with Catan can sell 20 million copies and earn $1.25 a copy.
Yeah.
So if you can stand to earn that much money, you can stand to spend another 2 hours tonight and 2 hours tomorrow night, and then think about it in the shower, and then when you're driving, think about it, and like, and then you can find a community of people, which is actually the biggest key,
Hmm.
who are doing the same. And then you guys are talking about it, and they're like, well, how do we make this better? And what about this issue? And so now you have a community of people that are just like incrementally making improvements and improvements and improvements. And so that empowering people to be the artist, like, just transforms an industry. And that's really what we saw with Spiel des Jahres.
Yeah.
They did not, and I don't like, kudos to the person that kind of floated that idea, but they decided not to give the award to the company, which has always been what's happened in the
Hmm.
past, and to give it to the designer, and then to prominently say that that name has to be on the box. So when we saw that happening in Germany, we were like, we're 100% on board. We were one of the only companies. We were the only company that I can think of that was publishing games here and doing it. There were
Hmm.
companies that were bringing over games from Europe and doing it, and we wanted to have like a big marketing crusade to like. Well, it was a little bit self-serving because we knew that Hasbro and Mattel would never do it. They
Right.
would never want to give away that power. So we're like, let's create a brand where part of our competitive advantage is something that the big behemoths
Yeah.
cannot do. I mean, they'll finally do it kicking and screaming if they have to, but of course they don't want to. So, but yeah, some of those dreams kind of just didn't grow as much as I had hoped they were going to grow. I mean, basically what happened is hobby grew and all of this became pretty normal in hobby. And then
Yeah.
we kind of were stuck in the mass market, and we were like grouped in with like, oh, those are the uncool mass market people. And I was like, no, we're hobby.
No, we're hobby. We're So you mentioned a couple of names that were kind of in my mind, but in this era where gaming has become very designer driven, who do you think are a couple of the more influential designers that have come out of that?
Well, influential would just be all the names that you've heard of.
Yeah.
Um, so Elizabeth Hargrave, Eric Lang, Reiner Knizia. If you go old school, Reiner Knizia,
Yeah.
Wolfgang, um, Klaus Tuber, the Acquire guy was named Sid Saxon,
Mhm.
um, and so Matt Leacock. I mean, I could just we know a ton
Oh
of
yeah.
names. I could
Hmm.
just keep going on and on. So that's for influential. Donald X. I mean, I think deck building had a huge impact.
Oh yeah. I remember the first time I played Dominion, and it was just like it was completely different.
Oh my god, I loved it.
Yeah, and it's still like it holds up. I've played it
Oh
recently.
yeah,
Like it's another one of those examples of like maybe it doesn't do a lot today, but man, when that game came out, it just created that whole genre, and now we have like bangers like Clank is one of my favorite games,
oh yeah,
and
fun.
everything that utilizes those deck building mechanics to do other things than just recycle itself through a deck. It's amazing how that has evolved in what, like 15 years,
Yeah,
I
and
think.
I think Dominion is still one of the best.
Oh yeah.
Every solution to issues has their own issue. Has their own problems that they
Yeah.
bring in, and Dominion doesn't have a lot of the problems that some of the newer ones have. So I think every like new designer wants to undercut a little bit of the past and show how theirs is better, not out of spite, but they're trying to shoot they are trying to improve upon the past,
Yeah.
but they also want to sell and promote their product. So
Mhm.
sometimes a game like Dominion gets kind of stabbed in the back a little more than it should. It's still just a very, very solid
Oh,
game.
absolutely. Yeah, just because it doesn't make the BGG hotness anymore doesn't mean that it's not an all-time great, because
It just still is,
definitely
yeah.
is.
Like, so one of the issues with deck builders, so I am head deep in deck builders right now because I'm designing deck builders. So
Oh, nice.
I've literally played digitally 35,000 times
Hmm.
if you add up Dominion, Shards of Infinity, Ascension, Star Realms. I mean, all the ones I played,
Oh
like
yeah.
ridiculous. Um, and it's an engine building game, which is fun and exhilarating, but it has a bunch of issues. Like one issue is first turn in some of these games, I can go, oh, you bought this and this, he bought this and this. He has a 95% chance of winning first turn.
Hmm.
And you had no chance to get stuff. So, like, kind of some of the things that Ascension was trying to solve with that Dominion had was like by having like a non-static opening
Yeah.
created its own issues, which is like sometimes I can just see who's going to win after the very, very first turn. Well, I mean, it's really the first two turns because then you shuffle.
Yeah.
Um, and with Dominion, that issue doesn't exist because you can do this. You can buy the same thing.
Hmm.
Like the issue there is sometimes you get 2-5, and there are some setups where 2 coins, 5 coins is better than 3 coins, four
Right.
coins. But like it's a much smaller issue in Dominion. Dominion is doesn't give that same sort of variety. Like it has a bigger setup. Like Ascension,
Hmm.
you do shuffle cards. So like there's a lot of the things that they were trying to solve, which they do solve, and they're better. But there are also things that they got worse.
Hmm.
So yeah. Anyways, I don't know why I'm on my high horse here, but
No, that's
Dominion
fine.
is one of the
This is why we're
greats.
here, to pick your,
And
as a prominent designer, we're picking your brain about design. Like, what we love. So, talking about mechanics, what are some of your favorite mechanics to design around?
so because I was a pro Magic player, the whole
Hmm.
card synergy stuff I love. I just
Yeah.
love. I love that kind of the discovery of synergies that are powerful. So these qualities emerge over time, and you're like, oh, I'm starting to understand. I didn't really understand what was going on, but now I'm starting to see how these cards interact, and that's just fun. And it's but yeah, yeah.
I don't know what you mean.
Yeah. So there you have it. And that's why like I have some I think some really cool deck builders that are gonna be coming out soon. Um so that's right in my wheelhouse. But I love a lot of other games, and my favorite hobby games are gonna have a theme that's not super abstract.
Mm-hmm.
So that tries to make, like Settlers, there's an island and you go to this place and you get wood and you build things. And then there are a lot of games where it's like, no, you're just collecting sets of 3.
Yeah.
And it says this is the theme, but it's not really. And then you can kind of get the theme if you're reading the storyline on the words on the bottom of these cards. But really, the story's not coming out through the game very much at all.
Mm-hmm.
It's just an overlaid theme. And so my favorite ones are when the theme really does tell a story without you having to say, hey, this is the story. It just kind of like the mechanics drive that story.
Yeah, showing, not telling.
Exactly.
So what are some of your favorite games besides your own that really kind of espouse that principle?
Well, so I still love Settlers. I
Mm-hmm.
still love some of these old schools that get trashed a lot. I think Settlers is fantastic. Carcassonne is even more abstract, but I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I love the building of the map and looking at it afterwards, and the just the layers of strategy. Like, it really drives a ton of variety with these really simple rules. I like the Pandemic story.
Yeah,
Like, I think they
all of
do
them.
yeah, they all kind of tell a similar story, but I think they really tell a good story without a whole bunch of overhead rules.
Mm-hmm.
I think my favorite weight are the games that I can share with the people I love most. So I do go and play with hobby gamers. Mostly now I just like hang out with game designers and we sometimes play games. But we mostly play test. So the only time I play heavy games are when I'm with like the people that I call my gamer friends.
Mm-hmm.
And so my favorite level of game are the games that I don't have to play with my gamer friends. I can play with my parents and my sister and my daughter and like the people that I love who aren't really hobby gamers the way that I am. And not be bored and enjoy it. So that's why Settlers and Carcassonne and Pandemic and that level of game is
Mm-hmm.
right in my wheelhouse. And it's what I'm trying to do with Nature. And with Nature, I'm trying to create a system that can be played on a more family level, but then you can start mixing and matching modules and you can take it into the purely hobby level where it's only hobby gamers that are enjoying like combining 2 or 3 modules together.
Yeah, which we've experimented with, and there are
Yeah.
definitely setups my wife really likes, who's not a like super in-depth gamer, and then we've created ones that like the crunchier gamers really enjoy too. So we've been having a lot of fun mixing and matching on our game nights.
Fun. Tell me what some of the favorites are.
Um, let's see. So I think my favorite so far has been Flight and Jurassic, which I think you recommended. Jurassic, I love the fact that all the other modules are it's like the hunting is very straightforward, but Jurassic adds that element of whoops, I'm a predator. um, so we love that, and then combining that with some of the mechanics in Flight to make like surprise predator dinosaurs is awesome. Um, so the first couple of times we played, we did not realize that I think it was opportunistic you mentioned on BGG was considered underpowered. Um, we didn't really see it that way, but maybe it's because we did have like Avid Forager to play around with too. So those were combos we made. Uh,
Well, it's very powerful in Flight.
yeah, we have, yes, that's true.
So when I said it underpowered, I'm talking about just the base game
Base
because
game. Yep.
I spent like 3 years just on the base game.
Right.
And that's what I was talking about because that I need to get that balance right.
Yeah.
And then every time you add a new environment, some cards get better, some cards get worse. Opportunistic gets really good in Flight, like crazy good,
Mm-hmm.
because birds are so powerful
Yeah.
and they can't eat very much food. So they're just like tink. And you're like, oh, opportunistic, tink. So when you've got these big land species, I mean, I've seen a size 4 species with social clause and social just go for 10 food.
Yeah.
And you're just like,
That's,
oh, I was planning on having food for my turn.
yep.
And so that kills opportunistic, just kills it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're doing that in Flight, they're getting free population, free food. Like, you're gonna just lose.
Yeah, and combining that with like I thought that was fun to combine it with like Apex Predator And some of the it's fun
Yeah,
too,
yeah,
like when you can get around some of the evasion. That's a lot of fun.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
it creates a lot of interesting play lines that we really, really liked. But we've got a lot of combinations to go because we've barely touched. In fact, I have not pulled out Amazon Rainforest yet
Oh, you
because
you are in for a treat.
I
Oh my
know
god.
I'm really excited.
Oh
And
my
then
god.
I was just very lucky that so nature was like the well, full transparency. The first game I was looking for at Gen Con was Lightning Train because I really enjoy Direwolf stuff as well.
Yeah.
But my second was Nature. So I saw I was like, okay, the line at Direwolf is insane. Nature's number two. And I just ended up in the line of like, oh, the top 50, the first 50 people here, if you buy the whole set that's available, you get to pick one of the ones that's not out. Like, oh, you don't say. Well, that's fantastic. And then I tried to sweet talk one of my friends to going through the line so I could get the rest of them, and they declined. So, but I'm really looking forward to the two. I think is one of them like the natural disaster module? Am I remembering that correctly?
Yeah.
Or like forest fire? Like I was really agonizing. I was like, that one looks cool, and so yeah, I've got a lot more to go here.
I think the natural disasters is really fun for people who've played a lot. So waiting a little bit
Okay,
on that is probably works
okay,
because then it just shakes it up. It's not really a deck of event cards. It's a deck of scenario cards,
okay,
and the scenarios last for 1 to 3 rounds. And so the way they compile just creates a new situation every round, and so you're forced to pivot. And um, if you haven't played a lot, I think it seems more random than it is. But if
okay,
you've played a lot, then it just feels fresh. You're like, oh my god, this is so fun.
okay. Now I'm really looking for you. You got me. I'm really looking forward. Is that next March?
That's November.
November. Okay. So yeah, actually, let's So the base game's out right now,
Yeah.
and the first two modules are out in November.
No,
Or
the first
for,
two modules are out right now. Flight,
yeah,
Jurassic, and the core game are out.
right. The first two unreleased modules are in November, which are
Okay.
the
Natural disasters and Arctic tundra.
Arctic Tundra, and then in March is Amazon Rainforest and one more.
No, just Amazon
Just Amazon
rainforest.
Rainforest. Okay.
Yeah.
Just wanted to make sure everybody knows for so they can
And
plan
then
their purchases as
climate
well.
will
Oh,
be on the Kickstarter um, in October for a
excellent.
Gen Con release. Let me see if I have a
Oh,
little.
sneak preview.
Let's see what we got. Yep.
Oh, I love it. Oh, okay, Polar Bear, you got me. So my wife
Yeah,
was so excited because the base game has a red panda on it, and that's her favorite. But Polar Bear, I would have definitely picked up the Polar Bear at Gen Con had it been available. I'm
nice. Have you
excited.
ever played Evolution Climate?
I don't think I got to the climate expansion.
Yeah. So you will have a climate track,
Oh,
and
yes.
it's going to go from Ice Age to Scorching Age, and that as the climate moves, it changes the food supply and what your species need to protect. Like they need protection against the heat and the cold, so they'll need traits.
Oh, amazing. So do you know when the Kickstarter is going live? And I'll make sure I put it in the description and everything so folks can check it out.
I don't know. I
Oh, that's
should.
fine.
I'm going to say October. I don't know, 10th,
I'll say
somewhere. October
we'll just
20th,
no, we'll just go look out for it in October.
October 15th.
Sometime in October.
Yeah, sometime
Between the
middle.
10th or between the 1st and the 31st.
Well, before Essen, which is October 23rd.
Okay.
So I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna guess right around like October 14th, somewhere in there, like 2 weeks into October.
Cool. Okay. Well, let me ask you just two more quick things. Well, maybe quick. We'll see. Um, quick things that I'm interested in your take on, and I can get you out of here. So if we look at the trends of the gaming industry right now, like if we try and do what you did several years ago and look at like what are some disruptors, positive or negative, that we haven't talked about yet that you think might be coming in the next 10 years in the hobby, what do you think those might be?
Interesting. Are you asking because you want to start a company?
No,
No. Oh, okay.
no. I
So
wish.
what do you mean by disruptors?
So like either technology or consolidation or just trend, just like whatever kind of trend that you're seeing in the
Gotcha. Okay,
industry.
because when there's something that's disrupting an industry,
Hmm.
that's when there's space for a new company to come in. So
Yeah.
for instance, the reason that I created a large company at one point, even though I trashed it all, is because I was an early adapter of the Board Game Geek, and
Hmm.
I was the very first person to ever write a designer diary. Like, they just didn't exist. And I wrote designer diaries, and I shared my experience of growing this company and doing this game and just everything on the Board Game Geek. And the Board Game Geek grew and was really big, and that community helped
Hmm.
me. Jamie with Stonemeyer Games did the exact same
Yeah.
thing, but with Kickstarter,
Hmm.
when Kickstarter was just bigger than like
Yeah.
his. So he did everything that we did, but bigger, and stayed in hobby. We went into mass. So like those types of disruptive technologies or things that disrupt the industry. Another thing happened is like all of the people that used to play video games and went to PAX, all of the hall would close, and all those people at PAX, hall closes at 6 or 7 or whatever it is, and they're like, let's play board games. And all of a sudden this huge group of board gaming played, and that's Cards Against Humanity, like
Oh
really
yeah.
hit there. But a lot of companies hit there that went straight to Target. And I remember going to Target and going, who are these companies? How are they marketing? Where are they coming from? What's going on? And it was like, oh, I wasn't monitoring the video game world. That exploded out of the video game world. So anytime these little things explode, like there's a new space. And then when the video gamers started playing board games, because board games were just like boys in a basement playing competitive warish type games,
Hmm.
they wanted games with lots of content. So the old school gamer was like, they played chess and Go, and then games grew out of those games, which is the infinity that we're exploring is all the different combinations that can happen within a one game of chess. And you're like, oh, wow, that's so interesting. This played out differently. And a video gamer is going, what's over that mountain? And they're like, oh, I
Yeah.
found this troll over there. And so during that space, all of a sudden people wanted 100 unique cards. And so when that video gamer plays nature, they, by the second round, they go, and I've seen most of these cards. And by the third round, they're like, I've seen all these cards. They're like, I'm done. I
Hmm.
finished. I've seen that. I've seen this game. Okay. Well, what's the next game? Well, that to them, they're like, you ripped me off. That wasn't $35 worth of content. And I'm like, no, I tried to make it so that, my daughter and my wife and my mom can learn these cards and not be like, what's this card? Let me read it. What's this card? Let me read. Like, they learn them and they're like, oh, okay, I think I get this game. Let's play again. So like, it was designed for a different market. And when all those video gamers started playing board games, like 100 new companies all of a sudden,
Hmm.
boom, exploded to fit that need. And they were designing games with 100 unique cards. So like, those are all little tiny disruptive things that are taking place, which are allowing new companies to come in and take root. You're asking me what I think the next disruptive thing will be. Um, Honestly, if I knew, it wouldn't be called disruptive.
Yeah.
What do I think the next disruptive? I do think there's going to be consolidation here because of
Hmm.
so I mean, anyone who understands economics um knows that like the course we're going down with Trump is just going to be bad for the economy. So like there's going to be consolidation. There's going to be a lot of companies from the tariffs that have a tough time. Um, so like that's going to happen. So companies will go bankrupt, which is a perfect opportunity for bigger companies to buy up,
Right.
assets. So that's going to happen. I don't really know where that's going to lead, but that kind of, that's cyclical. That just always kind of happens.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's what you're looking for.
No, I think that's fair. Like for sure. We've definitely seeing effects already. We're going to see more. We have what feels like a million years left.
Yeah, I mean, board games are a fairly inexpensive form of entertainment because you can
Hmm.
get a lot of replay value. Generally, the trend right now is you play it once or three times and then buy another game and play
Yeah.
it. But if people really got tight, they're like, oh, I've got 20 games on my shelf I've never played. Let's just play those games.
Yeah.
So I
We don't
do
know what that's like at all. At
at
all.
all. No, no. So it's just hard to say how all that's going to happen. but I would gamble on some sort of consolidation. I would gamble on the pricing going up. I would gamble on people spending about the same amount of money as they always have, but it's just buying fewer games. So the competition will probably just weed out a lot of people.
Okay. Yeah, thanks. And I guess one last thing, and it kind of, you create a good segue for me there. What is can you think of like a designer or a company that you've kind of got your eye on right now? Like, I think this person could be the next Knizia, or the next Hargrave, that just kind of starts putting out a string of hits. They're just almost ready to break out.
I think there's a ton of great game designers.
Mm-hmm.
Way more than there's an appetite for people to learn the names of great game designers. So it's harder to know why someone just sparks and gets the attention. Elizabeth Hargrave, I playtest with her. We used to playtest weekly, but we haven't in a while. She's fantastic. I playtest with Connie Vogelman. She did Wormspan and Apiary. She's fantastic.
I love Apiary.
For different reasons. She's very focused on mechanics and such a good gamer. So like in our little game group, we've got a ton of talent. There's and other talented people. Like there's a lot of talent in there. It's so hard to say who gets lucky and gets a platform and takes off. I can't think of someone who's like so above the, like just so much more talented than everyone around that they're just going to have to take off regardless of whether they get lucky or not. It's hard to look at it that way for me. The way I look at it is like lots of talented people all cramming in, all trying to get noticed and all trying to get known. And sometimes who rises to the top is not as much just because they're so much more talented. It's just kind of happened. And then once it happens, people are like, oh, this guy's great. And then you just keep building that brand. They keep looking to you for the next game. And so you have a platform to like take advantage of.
Well, I'm excited to hear that because it's good for me, for sure, that there's so much talent coming up.
Oh my God, there is. There's so many great games out there. Yeah. And then, also you can't really compare like talent across genres. It's like someone who's really, really good at romantic comedies isn't necessarily good at like zombie movies, or really good at documentaries, or really good at, like space action movies. So like different people have a wheelhouse of what they're really good at. And I learned this the hard way at one point because I kind of hired someone who's really, really good at abstract games, basically 2-player abstract games, to do a card synergy Magic type game. And it was like, that's not how their brain worked.
Yeah.
They were phenomenal at one type of game and not at another. And so that's generally how all game designers work. I would say, what's his name? Who's the guy that did Code Names and Through the Ages?
Oh,
Vlad.
Oh yeah.
He is definitely someone who has explored multiple genres and gone very far in more than one genre. And I find that impressive. Like that's something I aspire towards.
Yeah, it's it's like those people that are annoyingly good at everything. I know a couple of those too. So okay, I know I said I was done, but I got to ask one more question that I thought of earlier and forgot about. So what's it like being in a playtest session with all these talented game designers? Like, tell us a little bit about like how those sessions go.
So a lot of different. So I playtest with a bunch of different playtest groups. They all have their own vibe. The vibe with it used to just be Elizabeth, myself, and Matthew O'Malley. He designed Search for Planet X and Between Two Cities. That vibe was very different. It was just 3 of us. It was more intimate, and then we'd play games, and we would try to figure out how to refine them, how to make that early game experience better, how to make it easier to teach, how to just polish off all those little difficult edges.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes when I'm playing with, I'm going to call it Connie Vogelman's group right now because she manages it. She kind of inherited a group that Elizabeth had kind of grown. Sometimes we'll be like, I know this game is broken. I just want to figure out, is there anything here? So let's just throw something down and we'll talk for 15 minutes and we'll go, okay, this doesn't work, but this could work. There's an idea here. So there's just various ways of doing it depending upon like what level the game is at and what level the game designers are at. Because real experienced game designers know that you have to get something to the table and it just sucks.
Yeah.
And so we're just going to throw something down and I'm going to see like, what is there anything fun in here? So yeah, there's like a variety of experiences. There was a group that I playtest with who came up with the Gang. And do you know the Gang?
I've heard of it. I have not had a chance to play it.
Phenomenal game.
Okay.
One of the best of the last 5 years, I'd say. It's a cooperative poker. They had one of the designers of the Gang, he actually committed suicide, so it's a little bit sad, but he was very dominant in that group. Mm-hmm. And he would drive like some points, and his design aesthetic was who the F cares about theme? Theme is stupid. We need to get the mechanics down really tight. It's like, throw that away. That's one rule too many. That's one rule too many. Like, that's not clean enough. And so he really drove, I would say, that whole group, and that whole group really respected him, like going to the eulogies and stuff, and lots of passion, lots of tears, like really open, loving people. He had a lot of people who loved him, and it gave him a lot of power to kind of drive a design aesthetic, which I respect, but it was more abstract and more tight. And so like playtesting with that group was very different than playtesting with all of the other groups that I've playtested with.
Just like our gaming groups, everyone's just got a slightly different vibe.
It has a different vibe, yeah.
Yeah. Well, amazing. Thank you. I appreciate the time. Yeah, a lot of fun. I feel like I gained a lot of super insight into your games, your process, a little bit on the industry. A lot of very cool, a lot of fun to connect.
Thank you. Yeah, this is great fun for me. So really appreciate it.
Oh yeah, awesome. So remember everyone, so we've got Nature out right now with its first 2 modules. Next modules come out in November. Kickstarter between, we think, October 5th and 23rd for Climate. And then we've got Rainforest coming on in March. So don't walk, run.
Rainforest is fun. You're going to have to play.
I can't wait.
So like when you say Rainforest and Flight, I think Rainforest and Jurassic.
Oh, done. Like anything with Jurassic. I'm like,
Rainforest and Jurassic are just so much fun.
Yeah, we fell in love with Jurassic because we love all the interplay among the Jurassic cards. And I think the first time we played it, we got a little too into we got to use all the Jurassic cards. And then when we kind of broke through, like, no, we got to make combos. And that's how we get, like, one guy went off on a 10-minute rant about a broken, what's the Stegosaurus?
Thagomizer.
Yes, about how awful Thagomizer was because it's so busted. Like, no, there's ways to get around this. We just gotta
Clever Predator.
Yeah. Or like I think Apex Predator also gets around it at a certain size. Like no, it's fine. There are ways. We just gotta go through the reps on this, I promise. But yeah, thanks so much. Appreciate it. Yeah, hopefully everyone got some really cool insight on everything industry. So appreciate it.
Thank you for letting me share. So wait, I still want to say, I don't know if you know the Amazon hook, so I have to like say it because it's so cool.
Okay.
So in the Amazon, you don't reveal your traits. Your traits stay face down. So that's why when you mix it with this aggressive Jurassic world, it's so much fun. So there's like poison dart frogs, and so you're like scared to attack, but you've got this Jurassic brings out all these predators, and then you've got all this hidden information. And so there's like elements of bluffing. You're like, I know that's poisonous. And so you're like trying to figure out what everything is. And then you're like, well, I've got all this population, so I know I'm going to lose one anyways, but I got to figure out what that is. So I attack that. And then you're like, oh, well, I have climbing. And you're like, oh, I have climbing. And like, oh, I have speed. And like, oh, I'm a scavenger. And so you're slowly like figuring out. And it just, for some reason, those two together really work well.
And that's one of the things I really love is like the different modules, how they change up the gameplay and make it feel like a different experience every time you kind of mix and match.
Yeah, that was the goal.
Yeah, it's definitely achieved. So awesome work.